I'm very honored to be here to present you how volunteerism can lead to self-satisfaction. Actually, volunteerism is a part of my lifestyle. When I was young, there was no rehabilitation service for persons with disability. I faced constant discrimination, and there were many barriers that limited my ability to live in a normal life. Some people in Cambodia think that persons with disability can do nothing except some small kinds of work, such as planting vegetables, fixing bicycle, rearing chicken, and so on at home. And people always say to me, why are you investing your time to study? What is the point of studying? You cannot be employed even if you are educated because you are disabled. You can imagine the impact of these words towards a child such as me. I work as a volunteer because I believe we can come together to make a better world, to work together to make a better world, a world where everyone is included, a world without discrimination. Thank you.
I would like to talk to you about humanitarian work and how UN volunteers enabled me to do this work. Part of our work is to respond to emergencies when they occur. The devastating earthquake hits Nepal. I was at home in Bangkok when I received the first red alert on my phone, and I remember following the news, not entirely sure how big the damage will be. And for hours and hours and hours, I'm hoping that the number of casualties will stay low. But the numbers kept increasing, buildings kept collapsing. A team from my office deployed the next day to support the response operations. And a day later, I am being told that I will also deploy to support the response. The first weeks there were very challenging, but we all worked very, very hard. We had very little sleep, but everyone was cooperating, everyone was coordinating, essentially working together, trying to get things done fast and effectively to help people in need. And we all did this work out of conviction and with passion. You have to stay up late every night, you will do it. And we did it. Although our job is to respond to an emergency, no one can force you to stay up late, to work flat out weeks in a row, to not have any weekends. This is entirely voluntary. Doing the work today so that you don't have to do it tomorrow. And going the extra mile is entirely voluntary. And this is what volunteers in Kathmandu did as well for months and months, and some of them are still there right now. And this is great. We should all appreciate this kind of work. This is what UN volunteering allows me to do, to learn, to change, but most importantly, to give the way I always wanted. Thank you very much.
In January 2013, after 3 years with the US Peace Corps, I joined a new volunteer organization, the United Nations Volunteers. And I even worked with the Office of the President of Mongolia to draft and submit for the President's signature a UN declaration that would commit him to working with policymakers on domestic violence reform. And I'm very proud to say that today, at this moment, domestic violence law revisions are currently underway on the floor of Parliament. While I went into the UN Population Fund as a communication officer, I walked away with something different. I walked away with a new perspective, a new lens that maybe before I didn't have. I'm now passionate about gender, and I want to continue my work within it. I went to Mongolia with the desire to make a difference, to change the world as we all do. And in some small way, maybe I did make a difference. I hope. However, as volunteers, we'd like to think we're changing the world. But in reality, it's changing us. It fundamentally transforms us into the people we are today, into who I am today. What Mongolia has given me is far more than I have ever given it. I am and forever will be extremely grateful. Thank you.
I arrived in South Sudan a year after independence to work with UN Women as Gender and Governance Advisor to the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. And our trainer said, just know that anything can happen in a post-conflict and conflict country such as South Sudan. And one of the participants asked what he meant. And the trainer simply said, death. And I learned in that moment that humanitarian work has a price. And later, we lost our colleagues, friends, and community members with the outbreak of the civil war in 2013. We needed to engage with the government and convince them that ratifying those international human rights conventions had a lot of benefits. But we had to be frank as well that ratifying those could be disadvantageous to a newly formed state with limited human resources to implement those commitments. In the end, we succeeded. South Sudan ratified Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women and Convention on the Rights of the Child. As a volunteer, my intention was to share what I had, my skills and experience. But I saw that volunteerism is part of the culture of South Sudan. People in South Sudan care about each other. The young support the old and the strong support the weak. In addition to learning about the deep-rooted gender inequality and violence against women and girls, the community had taught me what giving truly means by sharing what they had. Now I moved to a new and exciting experience, to Partners for Prevention of Violence Against Women and Girls Regional Joint Program in Asia and Pacific, where we support program intervention in 6 countries. And we have other 4 UN volunteers stationed in different countries in the region. And we promote volunteerism among the community for sustainable change. I've learned that gender and prevention of violence against women and girls require a unique and contextual approach, which involves respect to the value and culture of the community. The culture of South Sudan and this region are entirely different. But I have learned in my work that it all requires respect, sensitivity, and sharing. And to me, that's what volunteerism is. I'm very privileged to have another chance as a volunteer, where I continue to share my skills, enthusiasm, and experience in Africa to Asia Pacific region. And what I get in return is spiritual satisfaction, which is priceless. Thank you to the people of South Sudan, and thank you for listening.